that you have people that all they do with their life is they want their kids to have a bright future, right? So they put them in the best schools. You know, their savings go towards their college, then towards getting them married. Al-Munabbih, okay. So, and that's all they did with their life. If you look back at their life, it was until maybe they had children, they lived maybe for themselves, but after children, they lived for their kids. So they live for it. Really, their life amounts to just doing something for their children. But unfortunately, one thing they weren't able to give their children is deen. It was really tragic. I know people, like in New York, it's tough life. There's like a lot of people that like drive cabs for 19 hours a day, you know, and barely and they save money and save money and say, why? Because I want my kid to live in a house in Long Island one day. Because Long Island is like Jannah for Queens. Right? So they'll work at the gas station and drive a cab and save and save and save and save and save. So one day we can move to the island. That's success. And then my kid can go to a college. That's success. And because if you're working 19 hours a day, and you're doing overtime so you can save and save and save and save and save so you can do this other stuff, you know what happens? You're not around for your children. You're not around for them. So you have no meaningful relationship with your kids. It's really tragic. And then these kids turn 18, 19, 20 years old and they run away from home. They leave. Well, they have these alternative lives that the parents don't even know about. And then by the time they get a career, they just abandon their parents because they never really had a relationship with their parents because their parents weren't home. They were just busy building their careers. You know? They have more meaningful conversation with their non-Muslim friends that they will ever have with their own parents. And this is how so many Muslim families in America have been ruined. Muslim families. So many. Work. No relationship with children. And then you wonder, why my children don't? And then you come to the speaker and say, brother, please talk to my children, or talk about the rights of children, or the rights of parents. Well, what about the rights of children, man? Where were you? You know, and all of this for our own children. Surah At-Tawbah is even scarier. Allah says Allah gave them, فَلَا تُعْجِبْكَ أَمْوَالُهُمْ وَلَا أَوْلَادُهُمْ. Don't be impressed with their money and their kids. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ بِهَا. Allah only wants to torture them by means of their money and their kids. That same thing you work towards your whole life becomes a means by which you're tortured. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. وَتَزْهَقَ أَنفُسُهُمْ. Their selves get consumed. They get eaten up from the inside. You know. فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْخَاسِرُونَ. And finally, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. Spend from what we have provided you. You see, Surah Al-Jumu'ah offered the Prophet's methodology, and then a practical means by which to establish that methodology, Jumu'ah. Surah Al-Munafiqun offers a very serious problem, introduces us to a very serious problem, which is nifaq, hypocrisy, and the solution to nifaq is infaq. Same root. One of the main solutions to nifaq is spending. أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. Spend from what we have provided you. Now, Allah didn't say أَنْفِقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِكُمْ. He said مَا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. What's the rizq in the previous ayah? Just if you look at the context. What's the rizq? Amwal wal awlad. Allah doesn't just want to check from you. Allah wants to see, did you raise your child to serve His deen? Did you spend your child for Allah too? There are people who are uber religious themselves. Uber religious themselves. Donating to masajid, going to Hajj every year, this and that and the other. But their own child says, I want to learn more Islam. No. You go become a doctor. You study medicine. I'm willing to spend money, but I'm not willing to spend my child. I can't do that for my deen. Not my child. Take the money though. Take a check. Whatever Allah has given you. We have to even think of our families as a devotion to Allah. It's an opportunity to devote, the husband and wife have to remind each other that they are both devoted to Allah. And husband and wife together are to remind the children that the children are one day to be devoted to Allah. They have to work towards that. Have a career. Be a doctor. Doctors are not evil. Mostly. Right? Be a physician. Be an architect. Be a businessman. Be an entrepreneur. But don't forget you're here to serve deen. Allah never gave us money so we could be successful. Allah gave us money so we could spend more. That's what Surah Al-Hadid already taught us. Why is Allah telling, by the way, if Allah says spend, you can't spend until you make, right? If you didn't make anything, what are you going to spend? Inherent in it is you have to be financially successful. You do. You have to work towards that. But why are you working towards that? So you could spend. So you could give more. You know? And anfiqu here, I'll add for the guys, brothers and sisters, your youth, your talent, your creativity, your enthusiasm, your energy. You have to spend this stuff. How am I going to serve? How am I going to be of service? How's my life going to mean something? You guys, we all need like deen counseling, serving deen counseling. We have a career counselor. We have to have a khidmatul deen counselor. My name's Kareem. I'm really good at math. What should I do for Islam? What can I do for Islam? Because there's lots of things you can do for Islam. You don't have to just be a speaker. There's lots of stuff you can do. There's a lot to be done. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Before death comes to any one of you, what was the problem? The major negative mentioned in the previous? Death, running from death. You can't run from it. فَيَقُولَ رَبِّي لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي. Then in that case he would say, Master, if you just delay for me just a little bit, إِلَى أَجَلٍ قَرِيبٍ, until just a nearby deadline. Give me a couple more days. Just a couple more days. فَأَصَّدَّقْ. Then I'll confirm the truth. وَلَنْ يُؤَخِّرَ اللَّهُ نَفْسًا. Allah will not delay for even a single person. إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهَا. When his deadline or her deadline arrives. وَاللَّهُ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. And Allah has full news, full account of what you're up to, what you're doing. Meaning, get your act together now. Why are you worried about making excuses in the future when you can change your behavior now? If you've already been told, well, this is coming, and you didn't change your act, you didn't get your act together at all, then why should you be given a second chance? You've already been told. May Allah Azza wa Jal save us from being munafiqeen, and may Allah Azza wa Jal save us from having a facade of our deen, and only for it to be revealed on Judgment Day that it was meaningless. May Allah Azza wa Jal save our iman, protect our iman, and make it stronger and stronger as the days go by. وَعَاشِرُوهُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. Now Allah is talking about women that you are married to, and He says marry and live with your women, have family life with your women in decent fashion. Ashir comes from ashara. What does ashara mean? 10. Ashira means family. Ashiruhunna means have a big family with your women. Live together in a family. This is ashir. It derives from ashara. I mean, you have lots of kids and live together happily in a decent way. فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ. Then if you've started hating them, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ, over time, husband and wife start getting more and more agitated with each other. They become better at fighting with each other. It takes less and less to get annoyed with each other. And you've got to the point where you really can't stand it. Your wife so much as looks at you and goes, don't start that. I know what that means. She goes, what? What are you talking about? And they just start. You always say that. I don't always say. You always say always. And then, I don't always say always. I never say always. You always say never too. So, right? I'm not replaying anything, by the way. So it's all my imagination. Entirely imagination. Right? And if that happens, فَإِن كَرِهْتُمُوهُنَّ فَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا. As you're walking away, going to the masjid, fine, I'm going to the masjid. You're leaving. If you really don't like them, then it may be that you really don't like something. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And Allah has put a lot of good in it for you. You don't like it, but Allah has put a lot of good in it for you. Learn to appreciate the good in it. And Allah has put the good in it. In other words, Allah is dropping a hint to the believer. Not just, sometimes you dislike something and Allah put a lot of good in it. Your wife, this is a bunch of things you don't like about her. How about you make a list of things that Allah has put good in her. He doesn't even give her credit. Now this becomes a matter of giving Allah credit. So as a matter of faith, you'll have to think about, what is good about my wife? It's not even a matter of what's good about my wife for her sake. Allah said He put khair in her. He put good in her. So it forces us to think, because otherwise a brother might respond, Akhi, I've checked. There's nothing good. I've checked thoroughly. But Allah takes that credit Himself. وَيَجْعَلَ اللَّهُ فِيهِ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah would have put something in it, a good thing in it, in the marriage, in her.
وَإِنْ أَرَدْتُمُ اسْتِبْدَالَ زَوْجٍ مَكَانَ زَوْجٍ. And if you've made up your mind to replace, you want to replace one spouse with another, you want to divorce her, you want to marry somebody else, وَآتَيْتُمْ إِحْدَاهُنَّ قِنْطَارًا, and you had given to one of them a huge piles of what, when you loved her, you bought her everything, you put the account in her name, you did this and that, house in her name, everything was in her name, because you love her so much, you're going to be with her till you die, etc., until you start hating her, and now you say, oh my God, everything's in her name. You know, فَلَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا, don't you touch anything from it, don't take anything from it at all. لَا تَأْخُذُوا مِنْهُ شَيْئًا. Allah said, لَا تَأْخُذُوا شَيْئًا, don't take anything. Don't even take from it anything, not even a portion of something. Don't even take a part of it. Nothing. أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا, like one day you're piling up all her jewelry and, in a bag. He said, what are you doing? Well, this is when I loved you. Now I don't love you, so I'm taking a love refund. Right? Right? Allah says, أَتَأْخُذُونَهُ بُهْتَانًا, are you taking for yourselves a clear, open, serious allegation? In other words, she will be making that allegation against you on Judgment Day, and it will stick. That is an absolute case against you. وَإِثْمًا مُبِينًا, and an open, clear sin. There's not even, they could be argued, well, you don't know what she did. No. إِثْمًا مُبِين, there's no argument. It's clearly a sin. There is no other way of looking at it. وَكَيْفَ تَأْخُذُونَهُ, and how dare you're going to take it? How are you going to take it? وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ, and you have been in contact with one another, meaning you would have had intimacy with one another. أَفَضَى comes from فِضَاء, which means air. أَفَضَى or أَفْضَى إِلَى فُلَانٍ means he went to somebody. Also means he went to somebody and shared close breath with him, meaning he shared secrets with him. Afdha also means to spread. In other words, you've let yourself loose before your spouse like nobody else. You don't even behave that way in front of your mother the way you do in front of your spouse. We're completely comfortable with our spouses.